Thank you for listening to the show on Really Big Something Channel. September 14th, 2017.
The Kuhner Report, presented by Kelly Financial Services. This is the Kuhner Report.
Amnesty Dawn. That's what Breitbart News is now calling President Donald Trump. And I've got to say, in many ways, I can't blame him. Amnesty Dawn. So, the news broke late last night. I got to be honest with you, I was stunned when I first saw it. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe my eyes. In a long dinner meeting with Chuck Hughes, Schumer, and the Piranha, Nancy Pelosi, the Democrats, after meeting with Trump, came out and told the world they had just essentially finished the outlines of a deal, of a potential package on DACA. And according to them, it includes this: an amnesty for all DACA beneficiaries, permanently enshrined in law, in exchange for massive border security funding, however, no wall. That they did not agree on funding for the wall. So, more assets on the border, yes. A wall, no. Immediately, social media thundered with rage. And Trump supporters went absolutely berserk, calling this a betrayal. The White House then began to issue statements, Sarah Huckabee Sanders and others, saying that, well, there wasn't a finalized deal, but they did discuss DACA. They did discuss more border security. However, no agreement was reached on the wall, whether the wall will be part of this new immigration reform package that the president now clearly wants, that Ryan wants, that McConnell wants, that Schumer and Pelosi wants. So, this morning, the president then doubled down. And let me read to you exactly what he said. He said, no, there is no deal so far. However, he said we are very close to a final agreement. In particular, he said that he will give some kind of a legalization to the DACA, the so-called Dreamers. Quote, no deal was made last night on DACA. Massive border security would have to be agreed to in exchange for consent, would be subject to vote. In other words, they'd have to vote on it in Congress. In other words, it's not a done deal just because they sign on to it. They actually have to vote in the House and vote on the Senate. Well, that's obvious. However, he then said that the wall, yes, will be dealt with at another time, when he's ready to deal with it, as he put it, or when Ryan and McConnell and the Republicans are ready to fund it. He then tweeted out this: the wall, which is already under construction in the form of new renovation of old and existing fences and walls, will continue to be built. So what you can see now is they're trying to do damage control. They're trying to claim, well, we've got 100 miles of the border already. It's got some old fencing, some old walls that were built from previous administrations, because Congress signed off on this twice. And we're kind of renovating dilapidated fences and crumbling walls. So we're working on the wall. Well, we're not talking about, 60 miles or 80 miles. We're talking about the full 2,000-mile southern border wall. But let that go. Then Trump dropped the hammer. Quote, does anybody really want to throw out good, educated, and accomplished young people who have jobs, some serving in the military? Really? They have been in our country for many years through no fault of their own, brought in by parents at a young age. Plus, big, in caps, border security. So in other words, there's no getting around this. The president is now saying they are nearing a deal, a final agreement, that would give clearly legalization, whatever you want to call it. He's now saying it's not amnesty. He's saying, no, this is not amnesty. Well, it's clearly some kind of a legalized status for the so-called dreamers who will be able to permanently stay in America, permanently get work permits, permanently get in-state tuition, permanently get government benefits. They're not going anywhere, my friends. And Trump is now willing to sign off on this in exchange, not even for a wall, but for quote-unquote massive border security funding. Now, what that means in practical terms? More drones, more assets on the border, more immigration officials, more ICE officials. So here, let me say it's super massive, okay? You put another 10,000 ICE officials on the border. You load it up with drones. Hell, even put freaking tanks on the border. Okay, put tanks. They can be pulled back. That's temporary. What is permanent is the amnesty. And this is amnesty. He can call it whatever he wants. He says it's not amnesty. It's amnesty. Listen now to the President of the United States. Amnesty Dawn. Now tell reporters before we got on Marine One and was flying to survey the damage of Hurricane Irma in Florida, we're close and almost everybody's on board. I just need a little bit more on the border. Roll it, Brittany.
Well, we're working on a plan subject to getting massive border control. We're working on a plan for DACA. People want to see that happen. You have 800,000 young people brought here, no fault of their own. So we're working on a plan. We'll see how it works out. But we're going to get massive border security as part of that. And I think something can happen. We'll see what happens. But something will happen. The wall will come later. We're right now renovating large sections of wall. Both Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, I think they agree with it. But I think we're fairly close, but we have to get massive border security. 92% of the people agree on DACA. But what we want is we want very, very powerful border security. Ryan and McConnell agree with us on DACA. We're very much on board. I spoke to them, yes.
This is a sellout. I'm going to be very honest with you, my friends. I'm going to be very candid with you. This pains me to say it. They can spin this, and the White House, by the way, the backlash from Trump's supporters has been, ferocious. And I don't just mean Breitbart. I'm talking his base. I'm talking Jeff Kuhner. I'm talking Brittany. I'm not kidding. The backlash has been absolutely ferocious. And I think the White House is now trying to finesse and spin this. But let me tell you, if he goes through with this deal, let me be unequivocal now in what I'm going to say. Steve King, Representative Steve King from Iowa, is 1,000% correct, as he tweeted out last night. This will blow up Trump's base. And as Steve King put it, the damage, I believe, will be irreparable. Irreparable. And his credibility, nobody will believe him on anything again. Again. Because on the campaign trail, Trump said this repeatedly in city after city, town hall after town hall. Let me just give you a taste. Here is what he said in Phoenix, Arizona, in the summer of 2016, just 2 months before he defeated Hillary Clinton. This was candidate Trump. Roll it, Brittany.
We will break the cycle of amnesty and illegal immigration. We will break the cycle. There will be no amnesty. Our message to the world will be this: you cannot obtain legal status or become a citizen of the United States by illegally entering our country. Can't do it.
That was then. This is now. Brittany, play him today again. I want to play it again. See the difference. Play him again this morning on The Dreamers.
Well, we're working on a plan subject to getting massive border control. We're working on a plan for DACA. People want to see that happen. You have 800,000 young people brought here, no fault of their own. So we're working on a plan. We'll see how it works out. But we're going to get massive border security as part of that. And I think something can happen. We'll see what happens. But something will happen. The wall will come later. We're right now renovating large sections of wall. Both Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, I think they agree with it. But I think we're fairly close, but we have to get massive border security. 92% of the people agree on DACA. But what we want is we want very, very powerful border security. Ryan and McConnell agree with us on DACA. We're very much on board. I spoke to them, yes.
Well, of course they're on board. The rhinos are completely on board. They can't believe this. They're jubilant. You just broke your promise, Mr. President. You know what you are? You're act of love, Don. That's what you are. Remember you made fun of Jebito? Jeb press 2 for English. Oh, when the illegals come here, it's an act of love. That's what you're telling us these so-called dreamers are. It's an act of love. You're an act of love, Don. Now, let me just say this very clearly. For him to get this deal done, he's going to have to sign the DREAM Act. Okay, don't take my word for it. The brilliant piece in the Daily Caller. They lay it all out. The DREAM Act will give amnesty, by the way, including up to not just a green card, but full citizenship with the right to vote. Not just to the 800,000 so-called dreamers, but their parents as well, and family members as well. It's going to be 2 million people that will get amnesty. So, what does that mean? It means that we have violated the rule of law. The sovereignty of the United States means absolutely nothing. But the Trump is now, I think, clearly now on the verge, they haven't signed it yet, but he's now on the verge of completely breaking his promise to his base. But more than that, people don't even realize the implications of this. Everyone's saying, well, why is Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer? I mean, they don't want to see drones on the border and border patrol agents on the border. They don't care at this point. You get 2 million amnestied? You know what that means? The Republicans will never win another election again. You think those so-called dreamers are going to thank Trump and vote for him when they get the right to vote in 5 years or 4 years or whatever? They're going to vote for the Democrats overwhelmingly. All they need is 2 million. Forget the other 10, 15 million. With 2 million, you lose Wisconsin, you lose Michigan, you lose Ohio, you lose Pennsylvania. You're giving the Democrats 2 million more votes. It's sayonara, baby. And then once they get into power, then they can give everybody freaking amnesty. Furthermore, not only is this going to affect 2 million, all these people now, many of them are so-called working. They've been paying taxes, Social Security, all kinds of taxes. They're entitled now to some tax credits and back taxes. We're going to have to cut them a check. Hey, dumb gringo. We're going to have to pay. You think they're just going to get an amnesty and that's it? They're going to vote for the Democrats? No. They're going to get in-state tuition if they're going to college. They're going to be now fully entitled to every government benefit under the sun. They're going to get every possible advantage. And we're going to have to cut them a $20,000 to a $22,000 check paid for by you and me. We just got screwed and screwed good. And let me be very honest with you. You want to know how I feel today? You want to know how I felt last night? I'll tell you exactly what I told Brittany. I feel like a schmuck. I feel like the biggest dummy in America. Because I came to this country legally. I did it the right way. I jumped through all the hoops. And I paid $25,000, I'm not complaining, $25,000 to become a citizen of this great country. I'm a sucker. And you know who else is a sucker? It makes suckers of us all. And I said this to Brittany. With all due respect, you're a sucker. For paying your student loans, you're a sucker. For obeying the law, you're a sucker. For following the rules, you're a sucker. Because if you're part of a protected political class, if you're part of a powerful ethnic voting bloc, hey, you want to come in and break the law? No problem. You want to violate our sovereignty? No problem. You want to engage in criminal lawless behavior? No problem. In fact, you're the best. They're the best. Look at them. They're so educated and so smart and so hardworking. They're the best and the brightest. They're the freaking dreamers. My advice to you, with all due respect, when you're taking it up to you-know-where, you better enjoy it. Because that's what they're doing to us right now. And my question to you is this. Do you support Trump's pending deal, let's call it, a pending deal, with the Democrats and the rhinos for DACA amnesty in exchange? To me, it's just a token, border security funding. If you believe the answer is yes, text the letter A. I back it, Jeff. We got to cut a deal. No, this is amnesty. This is not what I voted for. Text the letter B to 680-680. You can vote online at WRKO.com. Poll question is sponsored by Bill Kelly Financial Services. Lines are loaded. All of your calls. Next. John in Groveland. Go ahead, John.
Good afternoon, Jeff. Thanks
Hi.
for taking my call.
My pleasure.
First and foremost, I want to thank you for speaking truth to power in a public setting. There are very few of us who have the opportunity to do that, and you do it so well.
Thank you. Thank you, John.
I never thought, I'm like almost speechless. I didn't think I would say this, ever. I'm about to take the Trump sticker off the back of my pickup truck. I am so incensed right now, Jeff. What he did last night is basically he's created a perpetual cycle of illegal immigration into our country from Mexico and Central America. Everybody that's down there that wants to come here is going to look at this deal and say, hey, you know what, if I can just make it there illegally and hide in the quote-unquote shadows for a couple of years, then they'll, of course, the politicians, the Republicans and the Democrats, there'll be another amnesty. Jeff, we are no longer a sovereign nation. I agree with you 110%. I am so mad at Donald Trump right now and his staff. It's time for a third-party revolution, Jeff. We need a third party.
Oh, well, that's coming now. John, I think it's coming. John, look, you know what it says to the world? You're completely right. If you can bring your children with you, that's the key, and play the child card, then you can just keep coming. Now, John, let me ask you this, just to play devil's advocate. What about Trump's claim, well, the wall is going to come. It's going to come. Not now, but it's going to come. In other words, we'll seal that border. What do you say to that argument?
Jeff, I think it's a total lie. We've been lied to about the wall. I don't think we'll ever see a wall in the rest of his term as he's president. I am so incensed, Jeff. We need to secure our borders. We need a sovereign nation.
I'm with you, John. If he can't leverage DACA to get the wall now, when is he going to get the wall? Ryan won't give it to him. McConnell won't. Pelosi won't. Schumer won't. I don't think we're going to see that wall, my friends. Maria in Boston, you're up next. Go ahead, Maria.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi.
I try to call on a regular basis because you're the only one that I can relate to. What I heard last night just totally disgusted me. I've lost friends over this election, friends that I've had for 20 years, and this is what I get in return. And what about, look at what's happening in Maryland. They're letting illegals vote in the local voting.
Yes, in College Park. Yes.
We just heard that there's more unaccompanied children that are coming over the border.
Yes.
So do they get in line with the dreamers? Because I know that my kid's not a dreamer. And it's really pissing me off.
Well, Maria, look, what this does is it sets the precedent that it's telling the world we do not, the way to circumvent our legal immigration system, don't do it legally, just come and bring your children. And if you do, the dumb gringo's going to give them amnesty and work permits and welfare and in-state tuition and all the government benefits that that now you're entitled to as an American citizen, plus the right to vote. That's the deal now they're about to cut. That's not what I voted for. What about you?
WRKO, the voice of Boston.
Well, we're working on a plan subject to getting massive border control. We're working on a plan for DACA. People want to see that happen. You have 800,000 young people brought here, no fault of their own. So we're working on a plan. We'll see how it works out.
12:37 here on the great WRKO. Okay, this broke last night. Trump has now essentially cut the outlines of a deal. They haven't finalized the deal, but they're almost there. A final agreement with Paul Ryan, Mitch McConnell, they're fully on board, Schumer and Pelosi, the rhinos and the Dems, and it looks essentially like this. Trump doesn't want to call it amnesty. Fine, let's call it legalization. Trump says he will legalize all of the DACA beneficiaries and their family members. So that's going to be about 2 million. That's the DREAM Act, which, so that you know, wouldn't, if he says they're not going to get the right to vote, I don't believe it, but let's just say it's legalization, okay? Access to full work permits. It's a green card. They can work. Medicare. They will have access to in-state tuition, cash assistance, you name it, including their families. Plus, as I said, you're going to have to write a check because many of them have been paying taxes for many years and they're entitled to credits, exemptions, etc. So you're looking at about a $20,000 to a $22,000 check for a lot of these people. It's going to cost us a lot of money. In exchange for massive funding for border security, but no wall. He says the wall he wants later. So assets on the border, border patrol agents, drones, let's just say tanks for the sake of argument. Do you like this deal? Do you support it? Is this good politics, bipartisanship, or is this a betrayal? The Kuhner Country poll question of the day is this. Do you support Trump's impending deal with the Dems and rhinos on DACA amnesty? If the answer is yes, I back it. Text the letter A to 680-680. If, like me, you say, hell no, we don't want this deal, Mr. President, you're now an act of love done. Text the letter B to 680-680. Poll question is sponsored by Bill Kelly Financial Services. As always, you can vote online at WRKO.com. Brittany, what are the poll results thus far?
89% no, 11% yes.
Let me ask you, put you on the spot. Are you a yay or a nay?
I'm a no. I was really upset last night when I saw that news come in.
I know. I saw the texts. They were flying back and forth between you and I. I'd like to read some of them on the air, but I won't because there were a lot of F-bombs flying in there.
I'm like, who's running the country, Trump or Ivanka and Jared?
Jared's running the country. This is his idea all the way. I mean, at this point, really, let's just put in Jeb.
I just don't understand how you can betray your base, how your whole campaign you just go through and say how no amnesty, you're going to build the wall, and now you're not going to, and you're going to give all of these dreamers amnesty. Now, what about my dream as an American, what I want, what I need? Why is it always they put people that break the law above law-abiding citizens? Why does that always happen, no matter what politician it is? I don't understand it.
617-266-6868. John in Northeastern. Go ahead, John.
Number one, Trump is never going to get that wall built. The Democrats will never, ever let him build that because that was his signature campaign promise, just like George Bush. Read my lips. They're going to take that what they did with George Bush, they're going to take that and they're going to rip his head off come the next election. You had both House and Senate, and you couldn't get your wall built. What? He's an ineffective leader, and they're going to crush him. That's number one. Number two, my daughters and I, we both fought. My daughter just come back from Afghanistan. You know, there are a few Afghanis out there that are fighting like hell to become free. These people that are coming over here, they're not fighting for anything. They are leaving. They are leaving. They're cowards. Why don't they fight for their own freedom? Why don't they fight for their own constitution? Why do we have to be the melting pot? Why do they have to come in illegally? And then we, as a taxpayer, have to support them. They're going to get benefits immediately. They're going to get back pay because they've been working. We have $20 trillion. I mean, I'm getting and Trump. Come on, you know Trump. That lady, the last caller, lost a lot of friends. I'm from Massachusetts. I got my truck keyed because I had Trump stickers on the back. I get the middle finger once in a while when I'm traveling through Brockton. I'm just getting sick. I stand proud. I stand shoulder to shoulder with Trump, and now he's caving. And now I'm very sickened by it.
John, I hear you, and thank you for that call. Look, let me be candid with you, okay? I want to take a lot of calls today, so I'm not going to talk very much. I want you to talk. Let me just say this. I supported Trump. I was one of the few in the media that predicted he was going to win months before the election, okay? I'm toxic. You want the truth? I'll tell you the truth. In the media landscape here in Massachusetts and New England, I'm freaking toxic. They hate me. The Dems hate me. The rhinos hate me. The establishment, I mean, they loathe and hate me and my family. I paid a tremendous professional price sticking my neck out on the line for this man. And this is how you pay us back? Ay, ay, ay. Denny in Montreal. Go ahead, Denny.
My good friend and past tense, paysan. I have to tell you, when you were living in Montreal, did you ever trust the separatists?
No.
So how do you think, how exactly? So why do you think that Trump trusts the swamp? He doesn't trust the swamp. He's the only one who can give you the third party that we all need. And when I say all, I mean my family's entrenched in America also. We have, my brothers are all living there, and my brother's, of course, an American pilot. And the truth is that we can't just jump ship at the first sight of a wave that's a little higher than we expected. Did you really think Schumer and Pelosi were going to walk out and say, Mr. Trump is the kindest guy we've ever met? Of course they're going to lie, and they're going to come in there and pretend that they've won a big battle. You know, this is like a movie that belongs to the people of America, and they've hired Trump to direct it. Except Trump wasn't an idiot on his knees. Please give me a movie to direct. He said, if you want me to direct a movie, I get final cut. No matter what they put together, if he doesn't like it, he won't sign it, and he won't be pressured into it. I think what the media wants now, and what the Democrats want, and what the swamp wants, especially the Republicans who are against never Trumpers, they want us to be hating each other and hating the president before you even know if it's a deal at all. We don't know. Nobody was in there.
Denny, what you're saying is, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, what you're saying is, let's wait and see. Let's see what the final deal is.
He's got final cut. He's the president. Trust him.
All right. Thank you for that call, Denny. I'm just going by what he wrote here. Denny, I'm just going by what he said and what he wrote. I can just go by that, right? So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to pressure him to not sign this deal. Because the way this thing looks, I think it's a horrible deal. Okay, so just so you know where I'm coming from. But I'm just going to cite to you two tweets. This is what he said this morning. Does anybody really want to throw out good, educated, and accomplished young people who have jobs, some serving in the military? Really? They have been in our country for many years through no fault of their own, brought in by parents at a young age, plus big border security. So what he's saying is, I'm going to give him some kind of an amnesty. And now it's going to be through the DREAM Act. It's the only way is through the DREAM Act. That's going to be $2 million. It's not 800,000. It's going to be $2 million. And for whatever the border security is, I don't care how big it is. That's essentially the outlines of a deal. Now, I'm just telling you, if that's the outlines of a deal, and that's what he's saying, see, on this, there's no disagreement. That's what Trump says. That's what Pelosi and Schumer say. And that's what Ryan and McConnell say. That's the basic framework of a deal. I'm telling you, it's a bad deal. If this is the deal, it's a horrible deal. Just my opinion. You may disagree. Jerry in Cape Cod. Go ahead, Jerry.
Jeff, good afternoon.
Hi.
Thank you very much for speaking truth to power also. This is betrayal. It's worse than murder. The psychological and emotional manipulation leading up to this act that we're having perpetrated on us is evil. It's treasonous. But, Jeff, if he wants to take Jared Kushner's advice against the American people, that's his choice, at his own peril. And the wall, if we get it, it has to be concrete in most areas because, Jeff, you know, this is a false front. All this crap of sensors and Border Patrol agents and enhanced security, that can all be turned off and pulled back once he leaves office.
Bingo.
Jeff, I'm sorry, but I think this is going to lead to an uproar in Middle America and could lead to, I hope I'm wrong, but we're going down the road to a civil war, as you know, as history repeats itself.
Well, Jerry, it's going to lead to a third party. In fact, that's the one thing I do. Brittany, we were texting when the story broke. What are we going to do with the show today, etc. And so Brittany right away said, look, if this is true, I'm done. And we've got to go. She said, Jeff, what do we do? I said, we got two things now. We got to oppose this pending deal, I think, as strongly, loudly, and passionately as possible. Let Trump know his base is not happy with this. And if they go through with it, we got to go third party. So this could be the catalyst that launches a third party that I think ultimately will destroy the Democrats and the Republicans. So I think they're playing with fire. They think it's brilliant politics. They can cite me all the polls they want. Oh, this is popular and the American people want it. This is going to be the end of the establishment. Mark my words. Emilio in the North End. That's a great name, by the way. What's on your mind, Emilio?
How you doing, Jeff?
Hi.
Thank you for being the voice of the people. Jeff, I'm going to give up on this president. I think, this president has been having problems from the beginning of his election. Everybody was against him. And still, his own party is against him. They don't help him. He has so many things that he's working on it. I'm going to give up on him. I think he's not going to go through this. I was watching TV like a half hour ago, 45 minutes ago. He landed in Florida. And I know he said that he wasn't going to sign anything if that fence was not going to be approved. That's what I hear.
So, Emilio, you're basically saying let's just wait and see. Let's not jump all over the president. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt, correct?
That's right. That's what I'm saying.
Emilio, thank you very much for that call. And don't be a stranger. Call again. Aaron in New Hampshire. Go ahead, Aaron.
Good afternoon, Jeff. Thanks for taking my call.
My pleasure, Aaron. You're one of our best callers. Go ahead.
Thank you. I know when I vote for what's right for this country. Not only for myself personally, but what's for right as a country as a whole. And for a lot of us, Donald Trump wasn't our first pick. We were Cruz guys. But we voted for Trump because he was the lesser of two evils, because we couldn't pick Hillary. All this is doing, let's face it, this is a Hillary move that he's doing right now. All this is doing is taking the Cruz people back to being more conservative and going back to being Cruz people. I don't care what the reason why he's doing this is. I don't care whether it's because he wants to be a populist president or whether it's because he needs to make a deal for the wall. At no point on the campaign trail did I ever hear that he would have to make a deal like this to get the wall funded. And may I say one more thing, please?
Yes.
You're absolutely correct when you say this is going to be the catalyst for the third party, because the only difference now is Trump's not going to be a part of that third party. And this is going to destroy the Republican Party, and the divide that there is between conservatives and libertarians in the Republican Party is going to get so huge it's not even going to be funny.
Aaron, do you think Trump will eventually make a deal on the wall? Will we see that wall? Or do you think the Democrats and the rhinos will never let him get his wall, and he's essentially deluding himself?
If he is, Jeff, he has a funny way of doing it because, as I see it, the only real leverage he had was that DACA deal to get the wall.
That's what I said. You nailed it, buddy. That's what I said. I said that to Brittany last night on the text. I go, if he can't leverage DACA for the wall, we're never going to get that wall. Aaron, as always, thank you for that call. 617-266-6868. More with your calls next. 12:57 here on the great WRKO. We're going to definitely take this into the next hour, my friends. I'm going to get your calls right after the news break. Lines are blazing. Let's go to Grace in Boston. Go ahead, Grace.
Yes, hello, Jeff. This is Grace. How are you?
I see they didn't tell me that. Oh, sorry. Let me change that. That's Dr. Grace from the Starbucks in Norwood. How are you, Dr. Grace from the Starbucks in Norwood?
Hey, listen, Jeff. I'm doing great. Let me throw a different angle to this conversation. What's going on behind the scenes every day in the White House is Trump's lawyers are extremely nervous about a possible obstruction of justice charge coming down the pipeline. They're extremely nervous about possible impeachment proceedings in the midterms, whether or not the Republicans manage to hold on to the House. And I think what Trump is doing now is he's selling all of us out. He's selling out his agenda in order to save himself and save his presidency. I think what he's done is, and I'm speculating, it's a hunch. I want to just throw it out there because it doesn't make sense any other way. I think he's talking with Chuck and Nancy now, his two best friends, and saying, listen, I'm going to relent on a lot of my agenda, but in exchange, don't prosecute me or my family and do not impeach. So basically, he, by his actions, is going to possibly nullify parts of his agenda in order to save himself from impeachment and or prosecution.
In other words, you think a lot of this is in reaction to the Robert Mueller special counsel investigation?
Yes, and what he's realized over the course of the last 8 months is that the Republicans alone can't save him from prosecution and or impeachment. So he's got to do something different. And behind the scenes, the lawyers are very nervous. Regardless of what you think about the merits of the case, they are very, very nervous. And now they're telling all White House aides, don't lie to the feds. All the individual lawyers are telling each of the White House aides that are being interviewed, do not lie.
Interesting.
So there's a lot of behind the scenes.
I hear you. Dr. Grace, I'm up against it. Enjoyed that coffee at Starbucks. More with your calls in 5 short minutes.
The voice of Boston is you. 680 WRKO Boston, 93.7 WEEI HD2 Lawrence, Boston. It's 1 o'clock.